Chapter 6. Give and Take 2. Dungeon and Stone is an unusual game. Although fellow NPCs are essential to making progress in the game, you should never trust them, especially if it's a newcomer you've just met. I'm walking through a cave. Wobble. My gait is unbalanced because I just have the one shoe. Nevertheless, I feel happy. This discomfort I feel now is not something I could have felt when I'd been crawling on 3 legs. I have regained my human dignity. Who knows how long that'll last? Advance, using the shield to reasonably protect your upper body. No need to keep your eyes peeled and survey every inch of the floor. Because there is light here. The light emitted by the crystals embedded in the walls and the ceiling brightens the surroundings. Compared to crawling through the darkness as you bleed out, it's like a wondrous dream. To tell the truth, being able to see ahead feels like a blessing from God. A benediction to help me exterminate these wicked goblin bastards. War! Gruck! Surprised by my cry, a goblin jumps out from where he'd taken cover behind a rock. As I'd already roughly grasped his hiding place, I used my skill as if I'd been waiting for this moment. Smash! You son of a bitch! Smash is a skill with decent attack power that doesn't consume MP. FYI, I created it just now. Bump! The goblin collided with my shield mid-leap and fell to the ground. I rapidly closed the distance and stomped my foot on his ribs. G.A. Gruck! Don't try those pitiful eyes on me. I know how crafty and evil you bastards are. G.A. Gruck! Oh, you're different? Then you should complain to your friend who's gone ahead. Because that bastard made me like this. Crunch! I slam the shield's edge down on Goblin's face as hard as I can. This one is different from Smash, which only hits an enemy in front by swinging or pushing the shield. This one is called Shield Ultimate, likewise created just now. Swaya. Soon the goblin, who died cleanly, dissolved into motes of light, signifying that evil had diminished and the world had become a little more beautiful. I picked up the mana stone that dropped as a reward and roughly stuffed it into my pocket. This one was the 10th since I entered the labyrinth. Oh, these fucking bastards. After barely surviving a life and death ordeal, I kept encountering goblins that I was nervous at first, but I soon realized. At places that boasted the safety of light, the goblins weren't a threat to me at all. They weren't as smart as I had thought. If you have trouble believing that, just look at that randomly installed trap over there. Couldn't you at least dig up some soil to cover it? Do you have a brain or not? If you just leave it openly on the road, who the hell is going to step on it? The goblin traps were so crude that they could be noticed even from afar. Even if you tried to pass by one without triggering it, most times the goblins would just jump out and attack you first. Probably what happened with that bastard following me grinning like a pervert only happened because I actually stepped on a trap like an idiot. Gradually, after grasping their habits, the battles became easier. First of all, their main weapon was a short dagger, and their physical strength was only at the level of a child in the upper grades of an elementary school. In contrast, I was now a muscular barbarian with a physique that towered above them at around 2M. In an all-out fight, a goblin could be subdued in about 3 seconds. As a result, the only thing I had to be careful of was a surprise attack. But they even helpfully pointed out the ambush locations via those shoddy traps in /o/vel/b//in.c//om. Ha, being a goblin slayer, one isn't bad either, right? I immediately slapped myself hard on the cheek. Slap. I got so caught up in the act that it actually hurt. What had I been thinking just now? This is obviously a sign of madness. If not for that, there would be no way I could giggle while thinking such pathetic thoughts. Don't be proud of killing a few measly goblins. It hasn't even been 2 hours since you recovered from the verge of death, and none of your new problems have been solved. Man, I'm hungry. First, the problem of food. The shield wasn't the only thing I shed as I crawled through that darkness. About 5 days' worth of food was lost due to a hole in the food bag the chieftain gave me. Of course, I couldn't wander back into the dark to find it. This was not the fairy tale of Hansel and Gretel. Crunch, crunch. I took out a piece of bread from my pocket and ate it. The bread was hard and dry for better preservation, but as I wet it gently with saliva, I could feel the sweetness of carbohydrates on my tongue. Why was it so delicious? As if my eating habits had changed after possessing this barbarian's body. The piece of bread the size of my palm disappeared in a few bites. I sighed, feeling a strange taste of regretful bitterness in my mouth. Thirst. This was the second problem. Fuck. Where am I supposed to get any water? You killed a goblin. You killed a goblin. You killed a goblin. You killed a goblin. Warning. You are dehydrated. Please find a source of drinking water. Dungeon and Stone had a satiety system. Of course, it activated only inside the labyrinth, and there was no need to carry extra drinking water because a meal was enough to fill you up. But this was not the game. To be honest, it was closer to another world that was just very similar to the game I knew. The game was hardcore already, but now that this is a reality, the difficulty has become crazy. I wasn't too worried though. It's true that water is a more important resource than food, but even so, the tribe chief hadn't provided us any water. Obviously, it should be possible to find enough for self-sufficiency within the labyrinth that it didn't take long to actually find it. Smash! After hours of slaying goblins while wandering around in a cave as complicated as an ant maze, chasing after the sound of dripping water, I found a small pond. An adventurer was already squatting there, drinking. Excluding the party earlier, this was actually my first meeting somebody in the labyrinth. There was no conversation. He saw me coming from afar and left without a word, and I didn't even bother to approach and talk to him. All the other adventurers I saw afterwards were the same too. As soon as anybody saw me, they ran away. As in the game, there seemed to be an unwritten rule among the adventurers to avoid coming into contact with each other. Well, maybe they just didn't want to get involved with a barbarian, so completely drenched in blood. Anyway, while catching goblins, I just kept eating bread when I was hungry and drinking water when I was thirsty, and time flew by. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I counted my loot so far, and it was a total of 44 mana stones. With a straightforward conversion rate, it was 44 pieces of bread. Thinking back on the time I had been teetering on the brink of death, it was truly a thrilling journey so far. But nothing is free in this world. In return, I received a bone-deep exhaustion. This was my third problem. I'm getting sleepy. Since you were born as a living creature, you must periodically sleep. Even a high-spec barbarian like me is no different. So, how do you sleep in a labyrinth teeming with monsters? There are two ways. First, entrust your life to the heavens and just take a nap. Second, find a teammate so you can protect each other. I'd already decided which option I would choose. Entrusting your life to the heavens? In my experience, the heavens weren't very dependable. At least in my case, they really weren't. Let's find a colleague. Of course, that didn't mean establishing a party formally. Everyone was in the same tiring situation right now, so I planned to find somebody suitable and form a temporary cooperative relationship. In fact, even in the game, most of the nights when my character got tired passed like that. Thump, thump. After making my decision, I wandered through the labyrinth, focusing on movement rather than battle. It was just that unlike before, I could now see groups of people everywhere. Thump, thump. Groups of adventurers in 2s or 3s were resting, taking turns amongst each other to keep watch. Based on the appearance and demeanor, I found the courage to initiate contact with a few groups, but all of them ended up in refusal. I'm sorry, but we've got all the people we need. So they said, but they frowned and covered their noses at my approach every time. So the reason was quite clear. Motherfuckers, just how clean do you think you guys are? While I was venting inside my mind, someone spoke to me. Hey, he was a human uncle who looked to be in his 30s, about 180 centimeters tall. He gave off a pretty nice and warm-hearted impression, but in his hand was a hammer covered in goblin blood. The uncle smiled and asked me, "Are you looking for a knight, friend? What the fuck is this bastard saying?" As I instinctively took a step back, the uncle tilted his head. "Wasn't that what you were looking for? I thought I could trust my back to you and rest comfortably because you were a barbarian, but unfortunately not." Huh. Say that earlier, mister. It seemed that knight friend was a slang for the temporary cooperative relationship I was talking about. The in-game notation was knight companion. I interpreted it as a comrade at night, but actually hearing it here, it sounded quite perverted. No, I'm looking for a night friend. Is that so? I'm lucky. Then will you come with me? I will. So, we became friends for one night. My name is Hans. I am Bjorn, son of Yandel. Then can I call you Bjorn? The man seemed to have a lot of experience, since he naturally finished the initial introductions and led the conversation from there. 3-night friends are the best, but looking for another now seems like a waste of stamina. Bjorn, what do you think? To put it simply, it sounds like you're talking about sleeping together. Just what exactly are you thinking about? I don't know if it's because of the snarky tone, but I feel attacked, I tell you. Good. Great. If someone asks you to join us, then we should discuss with each other and decide whether to accept or not. After a brief discussion, we decided to spend the first night together. However, the problem was, then let's decide the order by playing rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors seem to be the rule of thumb here as well. Fuck, I'm not good at this. Then, as expected, I was the one out of luck. For some reason I won. Screw you. Then, I will ask you again. If a goblin or another adventurer approaches, wake me up first. Do you understand? I get it. Come on then, take this. The man lent me a watch with the numbers 0 to 23 on the dial, and was kind enough to teach me how to use it. When the short hour hand comes here, you can wake me up. Perhaps this was how the people here perceive the barbarians. You can't break it. It's expensive. I get it. Well, he was just being strict. Soon, the uncle took out a blanket, covered himself with it, and lay down on the floor with the backpack as a pillow. And very soon he fell asleep. Is it time yet? That looks so comfortable. Would you please lend me those if I ask you when it's my turn? Oh, by the way, it was terribly boring. The goblin bastards were nowhere to be seen, and there were no other adventurers trying to pass through the passage either. Was it because everyone was finding a night friend to take a break? As the silence continued, I kept getting sleepy. Still, time passed quickly as I was leaning against the wall and thinking about the future. Hans, get up. Did anything happen? No. Right? Thanks for your hard work. Then give me back the watch and go rest. I'll wake you up in 2 hours. Without even giving me time to ask for a loan, the uncle packed the blanket in his backpack and stood up. TSK. I erased my regrets and leaned against the wall at my back and pretended to nod off. Naturally, no matter how kind and intelligent this man seemed, and even if he had no intention of harming me, how can I trust a bastard I've met for the first time? Chapter 7. Give and Take 3. I'm snoring right now. The very image of a mighty savage, all conked out after an arduous day. Zizi, is this a bit over the top? I'm a little worried, but I hear laughter. Really, they're a strange race. I guess it went well. I guess my racial advantage outstripped my acting skills. The perception of barbarians as simple and stupid is quite helpful. That's why I stuck to my role as a barbarian, even disregarding the problem of evil spirits. As the proverb goes, hide your dagger behind your smile. 1. As if hiding a dagger within your laughter. Use the preconceived notion of your innocence as a weapon to slit the other's stomach. That sounded a bit like middle school syndrome. 2. In the end, to summarize, it means that it's better to keep your true thoughts close to your chest. Just like now. Zizi, nodding off sideways, scratching my stomach as if asleep. All for the sake of realism. Even so, I'm listening intently, paying full attention to the uncle's movements. If you show this much of a gap, if the other party does have some kind of scheme, you should take action soon. Or you can just try to sleep for real. To be honest, I don't know if I'll be able to sleep like this. Bjorn, time to change shift. Really, I didn't even get a wink of sleep. Don't relax your guard too much just because the goblins haven't appeared till now. They are wicked and sly. Maybe because he has his doubts. Uncle exhorts me to stand up straight during my watch and lies down comfortably on the floor like the last time. And in less than 5 minutes, he falls asleep again. Disappointment creeps in. You just want to sleep? What the hell have I been doing for 2 hours? Shit. Is it because I've met him for the first time today? Even though I decided he was reliable, I couldn't sleep at all. If I had known this would happen, it would have been better to sleep alone while watching out for the goblins. That way, I could have slept at least a little. Oh, I'm bone tired, dead on my feet, and I feel even more drowsy because Uncle is sleeping next to me. Still, it's my turn to keep watch, so I diligently concentrate my mind on chasing away the siren song of the Sandman. But suddenly, a voice breaks through my focus. Bjorn, get up. I didn't sleep. Say that after you wipe the drool around your mouth. When I rub it with the back of my hand, it really came away moist. So if you sleep standing up, your nose doesn't get stuffy. Looks like I really did nod off, even if just for a short while, with only 10 minutes left of my shift. My heart is pounding. However, there is something that needs to be done before I can indulge in self-blame. So I apologize frankly. I'm sorry. Not just pretending to be a barbarian, I am being serious. Being night friends is relationship based on trade. But although he provided me a safe environment during the night, I couldn't return the favor. It's natural to apologize in that case. Even I don't want to become the kind of person I hate the most. Fortunately, there weren't any problems while I slept, so it's no big deal. Thank you. You can sleep more if you want. I will keep watch one more time. No, I can't do that. It's your turn, go to sleep. Give me the watch back. He could have blamed me, but he forgives me instead with a friendly smile. So without further ado, I go back to my seat and squat down. Again, sleep eludes me. All adventurers, including Uncle, are so exceptionally respectful. Is it normal to trust someone you see for the first time with your life? N/O/vel/b/in.c//om. Aren't their guts a bit too great? Whichever way you slice it, to me this all looks like a bunch of bullshit. Because of that, I kept snoring, just like the last time. Zeets, I couldn't help it. I'm sorry, Uncle, but somehow you've started to look more and more suspicious. Zeets, that far too good impression of yours reminds me of a scammer. Uncle who mentioned that there was no need to get another member, who didn't even bother to say anything about the smell. That's already pretty good. Just now, you didn't blame me for sleeping on my shift. You even refused my offered price of letting you sleep one more time. Of course, maybe I'm just a crazy bastard, and in fact, this guy is just that kind. But to me, kind bastards are the most suspicious. It was these bastards who stabbed me in the back every time. If it was the old me, now would have been the right time to be vigilant. Don't make the same mistake twice. If you have even the barest modicum of intelligence, that is, Zeets, wouldn't it be better to just quit this and break up at this point? As I was thinking that, I kept snoring. How long had it been? Click. A small but foreign sound. Backpack buckle? Waist belt? Or the heels? There was no way to sense where exactly the sound had come from. However, although my head understood that, the body of a barbarian interpreted it with instinct. Dangerous. Is this the killing intent they talk about in martial arts? Goosebumps broke out on my skin. I opened my eyes at once. You woke up. Still, the old man was smiling happily. With his two-handed hammer, bathed in goblin blood and flesh, lifted high above his head. This fucker. Avoid! The body that had been raised from birth as a warrior reacted far faster than my rational judgment. I was already rolling to the side before my brain had given the command. Crash! As something smashed with a loud noise just in front of my nose, I was using the recoil to quickly rise up and fix my posture. Uncle, whose surprise attack failed, had a bewildered expression on his face. Rather than asking why, I dashed forward. Wait. Are you trying to make an excuse or something? You didn't mean to? Were you playing a prank? In that case, it was indeed a little no, really funny. Fuck. How fucking stupid are those barbarian bastards, really? Puff. The smash with the shield accurately hit his chin. However, humans were different from goblins, with a much stronger physique. The man staggered but did not fall. Then one more time. Puff. Smash. Ka. The hammer in his hands fell to the floor with a resounding thud. His nose was already red and swollen with blood. Oh, are you in pain? Most probably, but I don't care. Because right now I want to be a bastard who doesn't care about that kind of thing. So once again, stop. Wait, I can explain. Smash. The man, after getting repeatedly slugged in the face with a shield, finally fell to his knees. In terms of the game, he was incapable of further combat. In other words, it was now possible to hold a conversation. Uncle, please, I was wrong. Save me. Have you decided to ask for forgiveness already? You've got a quick judgment, but maybe not a wise one. Because the conversation I want right now is not about forgiveness. Why? I got greedy for mana stones. I was just going to knock you out and steal them. Believe me. Believe you? Yeah, that won't wash with me. If I had such an overflowing love for humanity, I would have had a few more friends. Shield. I was going to take that shield too. As I slowly raised the shield, the uncle quickly added something. This is the main reason why I don't believe in humans. Everyone lies so easily, just compounding to their tangled web of lies without bothering to do it properly. Why the shield? Because the barbarians have good quality arms. I was thinking of selling it once I got back to the city. Obviously, most of the weapons that barbarians receive during the tutorial are comparatively expensive, because the weight of steel in them is significantly higher than average. Just looking at my shield, one could tell it was made of pure steel. But even so, killing somebody just to get this? Well, when I think about it, it's not completely incomprehensible. But, bullshit. The man was still hiding something. Be honest. Why? Just like when I was dealing with the fallen goblin, I crushed the man's chest with my foot. Deep fear was engraved in his eyes. But maybe because this bastard had tried to kill me? Surprisingly, I didn't feel anything in particular. The same way you know not to look into the eyes of a cow when slaughtering it. It's okay to just ignore it, or something like that. As I was thinking about ending the conversation at this point, Uncle called out again. He dashed heart. Heart. It was an unexpected word. When I looked at him with eyes that demanded an explanation, Uncle continued his words with a resigned expression. A barbarian's heart sells for a high price. Why? Well, I don't know for sure, but they say it's an ingredient for some new magic potion. I see. Now I understood the motive. I was just a goblin to this man. Difficult to catch, but once you catch one, you can get a huge reward. Why did you act now instead of when I first slept? I have to sleep too. Oh, I see. If possible, it's better to both sleep and earn money. I thought Uncle was cautious, but it was just a bug from seeking extreme efficiency. I've told you everything, so please forgive me. Forgive? To be honest, I couldn't help but laugh. Forgive me? The guy who had just been about to pull out my heart and sell it as an ingredient was now saying something like that? If I'd reacted just a little late, I wouldn't have even gotten a chance to beg for my life. Please. Well, everybody wants to live. I should have known it was going to be like this. At least he had good attitude. However, Uncle, it is right that you should pay the price. The bastards I hate the most are the ones who do whatever they like and then dodge the responsibility afterwards. Therefore, I will give you everything I have. Even if I don't have that much right now, if I can just go back to the city. I can't believe you. In that respect, what was the difference between this guy and a goblin? I could never be friends with a goblin, but at least with this guy, there had been a chance. Only that was different, and therefore he was worse. Of course, this is just an emotional opinion, and I don't make choices based on my emotions. It doesn't always happen, but at least I try. I will probably meet countless people like you in the future. They'll all say the same thing. Then should I forgive them each time? Forgiveness is a very scary word. A decision you make with a gentle heart often comes back like a dagger to stab you in the back. I know that fact better than anyone. So this time, too, I have no choice. A mistake in this primordial world would not only scar my heart, but even threaten my life. I'm sorry, oncle. I don't think I can do it, because I've been stabbed in the back far too many times. Oh no, absolutely not. I'm different. Come to think of it, the goblin said the same thing. Well, I was just arbitrarily interpreting whatever I'd seen in his eyes. But anyway, then, what do you do next? Ka. Raise the shield high with both your hands. However, unlike the last time, it pauses for a moment. Of course, that hesitation doesn't last long, as if some unknown force is pulling your arm down. Oh no, please! I lowered the shield with all my might. Crunch! After the sound of cracking bones, came a sullen silence. Achievement complete. Condition: first kill. Reward: permanently increases mine by +1. I did not turn away from what I had done, and instead accepted it. About a day had passed since I entered this game world. I killed someone, and what I received in return were a large hammer, shoulder pauldrons, leather boots, a compass, a knife, a pocket watch, a water bottle, a backpack, a blanket, some herbs and bandages, a potion, 6 days' worth of food, and 32 rank 9 mana stones. Chapter 8. Night Friend 1. Am walking through a cave. This time, there's no wobbling. The character is wearing leather boots. Total item level rises by +5. The boots almost fit. Thanks to that, I learned one more thing. Uncle's feet were too big for his height. Anyway, they're pretty sturdy, so stepping on a trap won't hurt as badly as it did the last time. The character has equipped a two-handed hammer. Total item level rises by +30. This hammer is made of solid iron and is about 1 m long. Uncle needed both hands, but I can swing it one-handed. The character is wearing shoulder guards. Total item level rises by +13. Steel pauldrons. I tied the laces a little loose, and they fit just right. If I take off my jacket and put on just the pauldrons, I look like some ancient gladiator. The character is wearing a backpack. Inventory expands. Now I no longer need to store the blood-stained mana stones alongside the bread, and moving around is much less cumbersome. Chomp! I take out some jerky and chew it. I don't have much of it, but it tastes better than bread. I cut the rest with a knife and store it away so as to not get my drool all over it. On this second day, I have graduated from my primitive lifestyle. When you're thirsty, just drink some water from the water bottle. If you want to know the direction, just take out your compass. And if you want to know the time, just take out your pocket watch. There's even a bottle of potion to help you cope with any possible injury in an emergency. Isn't it a little ironic that after killing a person, I became able to live a little more like one? Bjorn Yandel. Level 1. Body. 25/mind. 37. New +1/ability 1. Item level. 72. New +48. Combat index. 81. New +13. Smash was a good technique to use with a shield, but a proper weapon boasted a different level of power. Puff! A goblin turned into motes of light and disappeared with just a single blow of my hammer. Had I known this would happen, I would have just picked a weapon at the start. After all, wouldn't it have been fine if I just saved up money and bought the shield later? Well, I didn't know at the time that I could fight so well. Was it because I transmigrated into the body of a barbarian? When I fought, I felt like my body didn't belong to me. It was easy to get used to it, but looking at this body that always exceeded expectations, I still couldn't help but exclaim my amazement now and then. I'm feeling drowsy. Yawning, I picked up the 2 magic stones from the ground around me and put them in my bag. This was the change that occurred on the second day. The goblins started coming in 2s. Perhaps tomorrow, it would increase to 3, and the same would continue until the labyrinth closed on the 7th day. Because that's how it was in the game. In that sense, it wasn't particularly bad yet. My combat power increased sharply with the new weapon, and thanks to the various consumables, my life instead became a little safer. Things were going pretty smoothly, except for the fact that I keep closing my eyes. From yesterday until now, I kept constantly moving and fighting the goblins. But I'd only gotten around 10 minutes worth of sleep, and one time I even fell asleep while standing up. I really wanted to sleep. I didn't even want any luxuries like a blanket or a pillow. I just wanted to squat down and take a nap, even if it was on the bare stone floor. Really, if things carried on like this. Oh, fuck. In my half-asleep state, I tripped over a stone. Thankfully, things didn't go as unluckily as was my usual. I would have been in real trouble had it been a trap. Let's just get some sleep right here. Coming to a decision, I immediately leaned against the wall, with my shield and my hammer still in my hands. Even though I didn't have any knight friends by my side. Rather, this felt safer. If you're going to be ambushed anyway, goblins are better for that. You're more likely to live if you get stabbed with the little carving knives they carry around. Unlike your head being pulped with a hammer while lying down. Squelch. Motherfucker. I woke up to the sound of footsteps that had already become familiar. Even when there had been no hide nor hair of them when I'd stood vigilant for no less than 4 hours. Now that I was sleeping alone, one showed up right away. I could see why Uncle told me not to drop my guard. Stubborn bastards. I immediately ran over and shoved the hammer into the goblin's head. Puff! Ga gruck! A total of 2 shits had been creeping up on me, but the other guy immediately bolted once he saw his friend being smashed. Yes, go. I don't even have the energy to follow you. Hey, you bastards. When I checked the time, less than 10 minutes had passed. In the end, I had no choice but to go back to the cave and keep hunting goblins. Whenever I felt too tired and couldn't take it any longer, I leaned against the wall and got a few winks of sleep. There were a few occasions while I dozed off that made me almost faint with surprise, but it was only twice that I felt like I had one foot in the grave. Once, when I felt a presence and opened my eyes, some bastard adventurer was quietly closing in on me. When our eyes met, he gave an indifferent smile, then stepped back and disappeared. Even just thinking about it again, I got goosebumps. In terms of surprise alone, the second occasion didn't lose either, especially since it was an ongoing process. The character was attacked by a goblin while sleeping. For the first time, I woke up to actual pain, not a premonition of a presence. A goblin appeared in front of me. Once I killed it with one swing of my hammer, the other bastard hightailed it. GGGH! I immediately identified the root cause behind the pain. But, oh my god, there was a carving knife stuck between my collarbones. Shit, my left arm wasn't moving well for some reason. But after all, I was glad it ended with just pain. Had I been a little shorter, or if that goblin could jump a little better, this knife would have been lodged in my neck. Creak! I clenched my teeth as I pulled the knife out. Then, taking out the potion from my bag, I placed a few drops on the wound. By the time I closed the stopper and put the bottle back in the bag, the blood was bubbling and the wound was regenerating quickly. Cheek! Was the bastard who made the potion a psychopath or something? Somehow, it hurt more than the stabbing itself. Ouch! After about 5 minutes, the pain went away. Although the pain had woken me up abruptly, after the rush faded, my eyelids felt heavier than ever. So much that my vision blurred if I stopped concentrating even for a single moment. It was time to make the decision I'd been putting off. Although my body was that of a barbarian and sensitive to killing intent, there was a limit to it. Didn't I just wake up after being stabbed with a carving knife? I need to take a break. I checked the time, and it had been about 14 hours since I'd parted with Uncle. Perhaps the adventurers active on the first floor were also wandering around by now, again looking for night friends that n/o/vel/b/c//om. Hey Barbarian, are you looking for a night friend? This time when I roamed the area, it was the adventurers who took the initiative to speak to me first. Also, very passionately. You look pretty tired, don't you? Will you come? You can always trust a barbarian. If you join, we'll have 3 people. So how about getting together? It was like being an in-demand whore. Was it because this was the second day and everyone was looking the same? Bastards who sniffed at my smell were nowhere to be seen. Or maybe the smell hadn't been the problem in the first place. Come to think of it, yesterday I'd been wobbling on my feet a bit and drenched in about 7 liters of blood. Oh, that's unfortunate. Numerous love calls flooded in, but I refused them all and kept walking through the passage. Was there no strong barbarian anywhere nearby? In fact, my best choice would be to find a fellow countryman to make night friends with. The problem was that, until the second day, I wasn't able to smell even the faintest whiff of another barbarian. You were looking for your own people? Wouldn't it be difficult? Difficult? Why is that? Even a barbarian who just finished his coming-of-age ceremony would go upstairs within 2 or 3 months. I don't rightly know, but there must be less than 100 on the first floor. As I kept exploring, it looked like barbarians were a rarity on the first floor. Seriously, it'd be strange to mess around on the first floor if you have a body like this. 99% of the adventurers I met on the first floor were humans. Why don't you join us instead? I'm sorry, but I can't. I see. I pray that Rafdonia will be with you on your journey. Thank you. This man looked pretty trustworthy, but I ended our chat and moved on. Since I found out that how expensive of a barbarian's heart was, I couldn't help but suspect every one of the adventurers. Click. I took out the compass. I'd been moving south ever since I got it, but I still wasn't out of the goblin zone. I could feel just how big the first floor was. Should I give up looking for my own people? My worries didn't last long. I decided to stop looking for needles in a desert and made a more realistic plan. I'd look for a knight friend even if they weren't of my own people, but not humans. I'd search for the demi-humans who were less than 1% of the population. A fairy who valued promises, or a dwarf with as arrogant a personality as a barbarian would be the best. It didn't matter much as long as it was a non-human race. Unlike humans, these races have longer lifespans. Given enough time, they had the potential to climb all the way to the top, so they would be less likely to get blinded by short-term gains and hurt a fellow adventurer. Having made that decision, I kept wandering around the cave for about an hour. And you encountered an injured fairy stranger. I finally found one of the demi-human races that I've been looking for. The moment our eyes meet, the air grows heavy with a strangely suffocating silence. The pointy-eared fairy sitting with her back against the wall just stares at me without saying a single word. Were you also sleeping alone without a night friend? Her cat-like, glowing amber eyes show embarrassment, but also a keen vigilance. Just looking at her makes me want to pass by and disappear, but sook. As our silent confrontation stretches out, the fairy finally gets up from where she'd been sitting with a nervous face. But her posture is unnatural. Upon closer examination, there's a wound on her stomach. You're hurt. It's not deep, but it's a long cut. Not something that could be caused by the little carving knives carried by the goblins. I quickly come to a conclusion. Was it a human? The fairy doesn't answer. She's afraid. Yeah, I can see where she's coming from. I'd be scared too if some random stranger much bigger than me passed by while I was injured. Isn't she even a woman on top of that? Her body is tiny too. Maybe around 160 centimeters? Anyway, this isn't a bad situation. Please spare me. Yes? Please, just once, Uncle Barbarian. I have a little sister in the city that I need to take care of. I did wonder how this plot was going to develop. The fairy kneels down to her knees without any regrets. At some point, even moisture had formed in her eyes. I beg you. What the hell? Where did your spirit as a fairy go? To be honest, I thought she would be the cool beauty type, because most of the fairies in the game had that kind of tone and personality. If I'd known she'd be this kind of a character, I would have approached the situation completely differently. Let's clear up the misunderstanding before things get worse. I have no intention of killing you. Make eye contact and speak with a clear pronunciation. The eyes are the windows to the soul, so given some time to calm down, she'll know that I'm being sincere. Must you do this, Uncle Barbarian? Yep, that's not going to happen. 2. I'm having an identity crisis right now. Isn't this a high school drama, with a savage delinquent bullying the girls in front of the school? With me being the savage, obviously. Just once, please, let me go just this once. As my silence stretches, the fairy takes a step back. The fear in her eyes deepens as she opens up her front collar. It's not funny. What kind of life do these barbarian bastards lead? What's their usual image like that she's doing this shit? I can't help but sigh. What do I do? Would this misunderstanding be cleared up if I showed her that I'm not that kind of trash, with actions rather than words? That seems feasible. Start treatment first. We can talk later. I step back, take the herbs and bandages from my bag, and throw them at her. This is a lychee leaf? I see. So, this is a lychee leaf. In the future, I can use it with peace of mind. I was worried that it might be poisonous, so I couldn't use it even though I got injured. Chapter 9. Night friend 2. Why are you giving me this? Do I need a reason to help you? I feel like a thorn is stabbing the insides of my mouth, trying to spout rubbish I don't even want to say, but I can't help it. Because this works better for her type. I want to be friends with this fairy tonight. It makes me sound like garbage for some reason, but it's not a bad deal for her either. Injuries, lack of sleep, and gorgeous looks. Just looking at her situation, she has it several times worse than me. She did that shit just now because she knows that. To be honest, that tenacious obsession with her own survival surprised me. Like I said, Treat yourself first. We can talk later. But I'm going to stand guard. As I turn my back dismissively, I soon hear a sound. The sound of herbs being chewed before applying them over her wounds. It's all done. Already? She's surprisingly good with her hands. Turning around, I see a tightly wrapped bandage from between the gaps of her torn clothes. The vigilance in her eyes when she looks at me seems to have lessened a bit, for some reason. Let's start with the standard introductions and slowly close the distance between us. I am Bjorn, son of Yandel. Erwin, I don't know what you've misunderstood, but nothing will happen to you. Yes? Ah, yes. She makes a brave face, but the fear is still there in her eyes. I thought that if I did this much, this misunderstanding would soon be solved. But what the hell is wrong now? In the end, I can only ask bluntly, why are you so afraid of me? Barbarians and fairies are enemies, aren't they? Enemies? Sorry, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. I don't want to fight you. She gets so worked up at my question that she starts begging again. No, I just asked because I was really curious. Are fairies and barbarians enemies? That's a story I'm hearing for the first time. They obviously got along pretty well in the game. How did this happen? I just look at her with a piercing stare, and the information I wanted readily flows out. The war that ended 10 years ago? I personally don't have any lingering hatred. I really don't. 10 years ago. I don't know what happened, but listening to her talk, it seems more like a belligerent relationship rather than outright hostility. Well, then, was she afraid because she grew up hearing bad things about my race from a young age? The situation is pretty bad. What do? Do I have to look for somebody else? Not to mention, the herbs and bandages I already gave her are on the pricey side. All right, let's try this first. It's the same for me. No lingering hatred. That's right. Yes. That's why I'm asking Erwin. Would you like to be friends with me tonight? Night, friend. I'm tired now. The same must go for you, too. So why don't we cooperate for today, since there are no lingering feelings between us? Her eyes suddenly light up. To be honest, I wonder if she spoke truly just now. Without rushing, Erwin contemplates for a while with a deep frown, then offers a condition instead. Barbarians value a warrior's honor. Can you swear on it? That you won't hurt me first? I swear. And of course, I promise you in the name of my clan. I would never harm you first. It's equivalent to a pinky swear in Korean culture. 1. Of course, I can do this all day. But there is one issue that needs to be addressed first. I am Bjorn, son of Yandel. Not uncle. Our Bjorn is only 20 years old. You know, the contract had been concluded. Maybe it was even a bit groundbreaking in terms of local culture. Thanks to that, I found out the fairy maiden's real name in the process. Erwin Fornaxai D. Tertia. She was 20 years old, same as me. I'm glad I'm not the real Bjorn. I'm sure the real Bjorn would think so too. Even if I won't say it. Then how do we decide how to take turns? I'll sleep first. That should make you feel safer. It's not like that, but if you want to, I can't help it. In a word, it was an unvoiced complaint. So it's good with you? Yes. Hey, I'm glad. I would have fallen into despair if it had been rock, paper, scissors again. My eyes have been fluttering closed since some time ago. Please, I just wanted to get some sleep. Why was getting a good night's sleep so hard? Oh yeah, but how do I know the time? TSK. Is this why rookies had it so difficult? I took the watch out of my backpack and gave it to Erwin. It's expensive, so don't break it. Yes. Seeing her receive it reverently like an ancestral relic gave me some peace of mind. I'll be careful with it. Good night. I lie down on my backpack, cover myself with a blanket just like Uncle had done. And I let sleep claim my consciousness. Uncle, it's Bjorn, I tell you. Uncle, wake up. Time's up. I forced my eyes open and got up. I couldn't believe it. Had it been 2 hours already? Come on, give the watch here. I looked at the time, and 2 hours had indeed passed. Come to think of it, it seemed that I hadn't even snored properly. Just in case, I tried to do that for 10 minutes. Wow. Was this the synergy between a backpack and a blanket? It was terrifying enough. Obviously, if Uncle had lent them to me, I wouldn't have been able to avoid his surprise. I would have slept very comfortably, forgetting the outside world. Is this karma? Considering the circumstances, let's lend them to her too. Cover yourself with this and sleep. And use this as a pillow if you want. Yes? But? She was shy, but her lips curved at the corners. I decided to pretend that I hadn't seen anything. Well, then I'll use them properly, thank you. Without any further urging on my part, Erwin crawled into the blanket and curled up like a cat. And soon after, there was the sound of regular breathing. Hey, are you sleeping so well in front of an outsider? She seemed tired. She might have had as hard a day as mine. Who? I rested my back against the wall and opened the watch. 22:50. It felt like 5 days had passed, but there was still more than an hour left before the second day ended. I wanted to go back to the city soon. Actually, it was funny to say that I was going back, but if I managed to go back, I'd definitely sleep for a few days. Seeing that I can think like this body is really worth it. I closed the watch and put it back in, immersed deeply in my thoughts. It had been a while since I last had a peaceful time, but I kept thinking about this and that. What happened to me in reality? Had my disappearance been discovered? Surely it would be. Somebody should come, although the company wouldn't take a few days' absence seriously. KKH. It wasn't that this was the first time I was considering this issue. It just made me more and more sad. If you keep thinking that there's nothing good about going back, your will itself would shatter. It was better just not to think about it in many ways. No matter if it was only deceiving myself, I was pretty good at self-hypnosis. I deliberately twisted my flow of thought. All right, let's recap what happened over the past 2 days. After the coming-of-age ceremony, I entered the labyrinth, fought the goblins, fought Uncle. Shall I praise myself for doing well so far? I clung to life really hard. Since there was no one to praise me for that, why not do it myself? Snap! I decided to leave the self-congratulations until I got back to the city, and when I opened the watch, time had run out. Erwin, wake up. Just 5 more minutes. What's so good about just 5 minutes? Hurry and get up. Ugh! Erwin rubbed her eyes and stood up as she shook off the wretched barbarian's hand from her shoulder. Hey, this looks dangerous. I could see why she hated me. Don't even think about falling asleep just because nothing has happened so far. Yes, I was a little nervous, but once again I went back to bed. Maybe because I'd lent her the blanket and the backpack. A trace of warmth remained in them. It was ironic. How long had it been since I'd last felt the warmth of someone other than myself? How unfamiliar. Maybe more than everything else I'd gone through in the past 2 days. This time, I had quite a bit of energy, so I diligently started snoring. To be honest, it was more to make sure she didn't sleep and did her job properly. I didn't feel like sleeping. I opened my eyes and glanced at Erwin, then let go of my worries and closed my eyes once more. And how long had it been after that? Creak. I felt a sense of urgency and sat up hurriedly. Hey, for some reason, I was holding Erwin's white wrist. It looked like she had been stretching it out towards me. What are you doing? You look like you were having a bad nightmare because you kept sweating. Looking at the handkerchief in her hand, it didn't seem like an excuse. Well, if it had been a weapon in the first place, I would have hit her with a shield without asking why. Sorry, I'm sorry. After grasping the situation, I relaxed my hands. Erwin stroked the place I'd caught with a painful expression. There were already red marks on her wrist. I didn't even apologize, because they would have been empty words anyway. How much time has passed? 10 minutes left till shift change. Right, so let me take the shift now. But if I sleep again now, I'll just be more tired. At my words, Erwin lay down with an apologetic expression and tossed and turned a little. Uncle, any problems? No, I have a question. Ask. Erwin hesitated for a moment before speaking. Who is your uncle? What? Are you making a pun? Because you keep muttering, telling him you're sorry. In your dreams, oh, my apologies. Am I speaking out of turn? You don't have to answer. I'll just sleep. Before I could respond, Erwin pulled up the blanket over her head. It seemed that this young lady was slowly starting to become curious when she realized that I was not that scary. Lay off, I thought while doing a few simple stretches. I couldn't really remember anything, but it looked like I had a real nightmare. Suddenly, I felt a little curious. Who the hell was the man I was asking for forgiveness? 2 candidates came to mind. an unknown uncle who was decapitated at the coming-of-age ceremony, and Uncle Hans who taught me how to be human. But when I thought about it, it was strange for it to be either. I didn't recall doing anything to them worth apologizing for. Soon I came to a conclusion. It must have been some meaningless dog dream that I had. 4:30. Day 3 had started, and about 10 minutes left before I had to wake up Erwin. I felt worried as I watched Erwin sleep with a blanket crunched between her legs. What concerned me was the prospect of a second date, too. That is, whether or not to propose a team up. Of course, there was a downside to having a companion, that you would have to share the loot. No matter how many goblins appeared on the third day, it was clear that Erwin joining would reduce my eventual income. It had nothing to do with her strength. Well, since she was a fairy, it would usually be cost-effective, but should I say that I'm already overpowered? N/O/vel/b//c//om. Even without Erwin, I could easily dispatch 3 or 4 goblins by my lonesome. It wasn't arrogance. I really judged that way after experiencing several battles with this body. And I had to collect as many mana stones as possible to prepare for my future living expenses in the city, as well as the subsequent taxes. Safety or more mana stones? While I was pondering about the most rational choice. Step. I could hear adventurers' footsteps from the passage on the left. It had happened several times during the night, so I wasn't particularly nervous. Most of the time, they'd take a look at us once and just pass by. But, step. This pair of adventurers, let's call them Ricky and Buster 3, took one look at us and stopped walking, and whispered to each other, "Isn't that the fairy? Looks right." The shape of the bow matches. Of the 2 men who came to a conclusion while whispering between themselves, Buster asked me as the representative, "Barbarian, what is your relationship with the fairy?" As you can see, we are knight friends. Even barbarians and fairies can be knight friends. I've seen something strange today. So how long do you 2 have left? I have no answer for you. Buster didn't ask any further. He just smiled and left with Ricky beside him. Right? Let's go. Huh? Soon, their presence disappeared from the surroundings. But I wasn't reassured. What the hell were these bastards doing? It felt as ominous as when the chieftain had shouted in front of me. I slowly moved to the side and tapped Erwin, who was still sleeping, on the shoulder. Hey, are you still sleeping in this situation? Wake the hell up, because somehow, it feels like we're fucked. Chapter 10, Night Friend 3, strictly speaking, the word we should not be used here. Because the Ricky and Buster pair were interested in Erwin, not me. Tug, I nudge Erwin again with my foot. What do you mean, Ugg? Wake the hell up. I know you aren't asleep. I saw you cover your face with the blanket when I glanced at you right after hearing their words. Hey, it's a waste of time to keep up this charade, so I just grab her by the shoulders and force her to get up. Why were you pretending to be asleep? That's Erwin mumbles her words and avoids my gaze. Considering the fact that I have to get the relevant information as quickly as possible and make a decision, it's a pretty rude attitude. Wig. When I grab her by the chin and force her to look at me, Erwin finally, reluctantly starts to talk. Because you'll leave when I wake up indeed? Was that the reason? I did so swear. If there's a conflict with other adventurers while standing guard for the night, you have to fight together. But unfortunately, this happened on the last turn within the promised time frame. Well, I don't actually care about my honor, but she doesn't know that. So she tried to hold on to me somehow. Because the moment she opens her eyes, the promise that bound us as knight friends would be over. Who did I take a deep breath, that if a grown man like Uncle Hans had done something like this, I really would have been angry, but since she's only 20 years old, some pity blooms at a corner of my heart. Of course, that's that, and this is this. I still have to make a decision. Was it those 2? No. Then why were you hiding yourself? There was a pattern engraved on their clothes. Same as the human man who tried to hurt me. They must have been in the same group. A group fuck. Are things getting more problematic? I'm starting to consider whether it would actually be better to just say goodbye to this fairy girl and go our separate ways from here. That I am starting to consider whether it would actually be better to just say goodbye to this fairy girl and go our separate ways from here. That I am starting to consider whether it would actually be better to just say goodbye to this fairy girl and go our separate ways from here. Let's talk while we move. Are you going to help me? They'll listen to your story at least. First of all, we have to get out of here. And I have to grasp the rest of the situation on the way. We start moving, setting almost a running pace. Tell me everything that's happened so far. As if reading the atmosphere, Erwin briefly recites only the important information without saying anything extra. The first night, my night friend who ID just met attacked me while I was sleeping. I found out later that he was an executive from a group mainly active on the first floor. For reference, the group is called Crystal Union. I managed to escape, but after that, people from that organization started attacking me whenever they saw me. I was injured in the process. I paused for a moment. Wait, how did they know about you? They used message stones. What is that? There was nothing like that in the game. A little more detail. It's a magic tool that allows you to talk remotely with other message stones that have been configured to resonate with it in advance. I heard that the reach is about 300 m. I see. It's a kind of a walkie-talkie. If the frequency is set in advance, you can communicate up to 300 m away. Gradually, I understand the situation we're in. With such magic tools and sufficient manpower, disseminating information would be easy in a closed environment like this. However, the problem is, why are they chasing after you? Erwin did nothing wrong. Why would they spend so much effort going after the victim? Is it to keep your mouth shut? I don't think it's that. Is there anything else? That's Erwin, who had been calmly answering my questions so far. Once again, hesitates to speak. I really can't help her if she keeps up with this attitude. While I was considering dumping her, I swung my knife at that man when I first ran away. Where I hit him, it wasn't a good place. Really by a bad place, you mean? Where I hit him, it wasn't a good place. Really by a bad place, you mean? I feel cold for some reason. The cool wind keeps brushing my groin. Really? Anyway, I heard from the people who were chasing me afterwards. It was totally cut off and couldn't even be reattached with a potion. I guess that's why it's worth chasing after her with full power. I am sorry, there's nothing to apologize for. I am sorry, there's nothing to apologize for. Wasn't that guy the perpetrator? You reap what you sow. The problem is that there are far too many people in every world who can't understand such simple logic. Uncle, I think somebody's behind us. Where? Don't look back. I've been concentrating on my hearing, but I still can't hear anything. On the path, I think about 150 m away. It's strange that she can feel a presence at that distance, but it doesn't seem like a lie. There's no reason for her to do that. Is this the innate perception of a fairy? The image I had of her changed all of a sudden. I need to speed up. Are you all right with that? Yes, I can handle it. Even though the white bandage covering her wound is stained red, Erwin doesn't spit out even a single sound of pain. She has good guts. Well, my thoughts got complicated again. How far is the tracker? Still about 150 m. Even if you increase the speed, you can't spread out the distance. Things aren't going well. By now, the stalker must be announcing our location to his comrades with a message stone or something. Have to get rid of him. If their target had been me, I would have certainly judged so. But I'm still running. After you kill him, you can't step out of this quagmire anymore, so check things out first before you dip your feet. You, uncle? How much risk do I have to take, and how much reward can I get in return? Velgen.com need more detailed information. Erwin. Yes? What are you good at? I am confident in cleaning and laundry. Oh, I'm not very good at cooking, but what is she talking about now? In battle. Bow bow. Oh, and spirits too. Just a standard fairy archer. Which attributes? Fire. Well, that's the most valuable one. Thanks to that, I can slowly draw the picture in my mind. Have you ever killed anyone? No, but I can. That's something you have to do to know, right? I ask her the final question. Erwin, would you like to join me? The duration is until you get out of the labyrinth, and the loot distribution is 9 for me and 1 for you. I will. This is enough to give me a reason. I promise in the name of my clan that I also swear on the honor of a warrior. We again went through a ceremony as a token of trust like before and evolved our relationship from night friends to temporary colleagues. Of course, running like crazy all the while. Distance, about 100 m. Even at the maximum speed we could reach, the distance was getting smaller. I made up my mind. change place to the outskirts. Yes. We turned around and entered the dark passage. Less and less crystals shined on the walls and the ceilings as we progressed, and before long, a deep darkness fell to greet us. My thoughts were a bit complicated. After all, I never expected to come back here on my own 2 feet. Erwin summoned the spirit. A flame the size of a watermelon floated on the palm of her hand, illuminating the surroundings. Watching the floor for traps, I quickly made my way through the darkness. And unsummon. Now that we hid in the dark, when are you going to give a sign? You'll hear it soon, right? I kept my composure as much as I could and focused on my hearing. The best outcome would be for the chaser to miss us and pass us by. Then there would be no need to kill them, and I too would be able to step away from this quagmire later. Stepped out before long, the tracker's footsteps reached my ears. However, contrary to expectations, he stopped without passing us by. Just in front of the crossroads we'd passed last. Stepped out shit apparently. He had some way to track us down, be it smell, sound, or something magical. Thumped out he turned and walked slowly, stopping at a distance of about 30 meters from us. The border where light died and the abyssal darkness began, he craned his neck, peering into the dark that we watched, holding our breaths. There you are. The man who had sniffed a few times in the quiet stillness murmured to himself. Then, he pulled something out of his pocket. It was the first time I had seen it in my life, but I intuitively recognized the identity of the object. Message stone. As soon as I saw it, I signaled Erwin with a short murmur. Erwin, who had kept her bow drawn and the arrow aimed all this while. Shoot! Thunked before I could even finish my words. The arrow pierced the man's forehead. Thump! Even after the man fell to the floor, dead, I did not approach immediately. Erwin, who was sitting right next to me, could not hide from me how she was trembling. Well done. Hesitating would have been dangerous. It wasn't just some fake compliment, but the truth. Hadn't I also paused before slamming the shield down on Uncle Hans? Erwin hadn't even had that little leisure. Even if I didn't tell her out loud, she had known it in her heart, that you should never hesitate. Yes, you. Take a break. My ability to comfort another ended at this point, and I left the darkness to search the corpse. Perhaps Head left his backpack to another colleague in order to move quickly, but the pursuer looked a bit poor. To feel regret about such a thing, I've really assimilated into this world. Removing all the equipment from the tracker's corpse, from head to toe, I organized the acquired items one by one. A belt, a leather top and bottom, 2 daggers, a fairly heavy mana stone pouch, a bottle of potion kept in another pouch tied to the belt, and even a message stone. Good. Come here. After classifying the loot roughly, I called Erwin. She removed the bandages and applied the potion to her wound. The wound began to heal with a squelch. KKK, it would have been okay to make some noise, but Erwin clenched her teeth and endured the pain in silence. She had a tough side to her, too. No, was she just mentally dissociating from the pain? I hoped it was the former. I wasn't confident about counseling somebody else. Did you black out? Yes, just for a moment. Then change into this. After the treatment finished in a few minutes, I held out the leather top and bottom I had just obtained. I judged them to be much more practical than the loose-fitting cloth robes she was wearing now. I'll wear them right away. Did she believe that following my every instruction would give her a higher chance of survival? It must have been awkward, but Erwin immediately grabbed the clothes and disappeared into the darkness to change. That's not all. Come on, let me take a look. I trimmed the hems protruding at the arms and the legs. Wear this too. It should look a little better. It was still a little baggy overall, but it looked like a comfortable fit with the belt on. However, because of the change in outfit, her atmosphere had also completely changed. Previously, she looked like a fairy girl had gone on an outing, but now she looked like a full-fledged female warrior. Even her face exuded that feeling. It feels very strange. You'll get used to it. I see. Is that so? Yes. You will that I shoved the rest of the items into my backpack and dragged the naked corpse into the dark. Then I took the message stone in my hand. How do you read messages? Wait, let me do it. Erwin looked at the message stone and clicked something. Serdin, who was chasing the fairy bitch and the barbarian, lost contact. All those who hear this gather in the Goblin Zone. Things were progressing just as ID expected them to.